Get ready, everyone, and you just might survive. Ruben and Jason are here with their X-Men deep dive. Going through all the X-books is their mission, so get ready for the Learned Edition. Things are getting weird in here. Ruben hopes another sword book gets announced this year. It's the Weird Dose of X, the X-Men comic show. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed not to blow, except your mind. It's the Weird Dose of X, the X-Men comic show. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed not to blow, except your mind.
Welcome, all you weirdos, genocidal life model decoys, and any and all widows of Hirokawa. It is time to receive your 164th Weird Dose of X, the mutant member of your Weird Science podcast family. I am your clean bill of health host, Jason, broadcasting as always from the Wrong Turn studio perched high atop stately Weird Science Manor. And with me is a man who is definitely not a Skrull. It's my pal Ruben. Hey, Ruben, how the heck are you?
Hey, good to go. I'd be a hobgoblin, not a Skrull. Those are much cooler.
Of course. I mean, I don't know exactly what hobgoblins are yet. I mean, it's still kind of vague, but they're definitely cooler than Skrulls. I'll give you that much.
They need to have a hobgoblin imitate the hobgoblin. That would be super meta.
Oh, wow. Then we're kind of getting to the whole clone saga again, which I know Marvel would love to dive back into because that was everybody's favorite period.
Yeah.
There are going to be 2 Spider-Mans coming up, right? So maybe one of them is a hobgoblin or a Skrull. That'll be a hell of a twist, huh? A Skrull Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Let's start that rumor. I like it. So first, I want to update everybody. I know you've all been waiting a whole week to find out. And yes, my colonoscopy went fine. No issues at all. And, Ruben, I don't like to brag, but the doctor had some very complimentary things to say about the inside of my colon. I don't think he says it to everybody. I think I'm a special case. He did send me home with some pictures. I considered posting those to the Slack, but figured we need a higher Patreon tier to really deserve those images. So I have not yet posted those. How are things going with you over there in the Pacific Northwest?
We're doing all right. We had a pretty eventful weekend. We were in Bellingham, and then we came back, and to my chagrin, I was able to go see Lionel Messi play against the Sounders, and he lost.
Oh.
So we had a big party for that. And then we did some... Oh, yeah, I saw Superman, that movie, finally.
I know that's a very impressive soccer player because he's one of, 3 whose names I know, and one of them's Pele, and I think he's not even alive anymore.
No, he's not. He's still alive, but he's not.
David Beckham? That's a...
Yeah, so funny enough...
Beckham, I know that from a movie title.
Beckham owns Miami FC, and so I actually saw him in the Seattle Stadium as well.
Wow. There you go.
Two out of the 3 players that you know were in Seattle.
That's it. Okay, well, good for you. My Mets are hanging on to the edge of the playoffs there, so we'll see how that goes. And, in baseball, that's the only sport I really follow. But, people didn't tune in here to hear about soccer and baseball and colonoscopies. They're here to hear about the X-Men. So let's talk about those a little bit.
You don't want to hear about how we won another trophy?
Sorry, I think I dozed off there a second. What were you saying?
I just want to say Simon's Portland Timbers are hot trash, and they will never win another trophy.
Wow.
Meanwhile, the Sounders are just going to continue building the trophy cabinet.
How dare you?
Well, good luck. I just hope they all have a good time. That's what I'm rooting for. Today, the books that we're rooting for to give us a good time are X-Men number 21, Phoenix number 14, and then we'll go over into the cosmic era, and we'll talk about Imperial War Black Panther number 1, maybe try to figure out what's going on in Space Wakanda, and we'll finish up with Imperial War Planet She-Hulk number 1. So for folks paying attention, that's 2 Stephanie Phillips books here in this 1 week, which frankly, that should be illegal. That's too many Stephanie Phillips books for 1 week, but we'll get through this together, everyone, okay? Let's do it. First, just to ease us into things, before we get to the Stephanie Phillips of it all, we'll start off, as always, with the Infinity Comic. Today we have Astonishing X-Men Infinity Comic number 35, Change of Heart Part 4. Written by Tim Seeley, art by Eduardo Ordino, colors by K.J. Diaz, letters by Clayton Coles. So, the Ireland X-Men are in Great Britain, investigating break-ins that have been happening in this town where a bunch of retired spies live. They've got Morph with them, who maybe is Changeling, maybe is chasing Changeling, not too sure. And when we left off last time, Husk, Skin, and Morph are all infiltrating this anti-crime meeting full of spies. And Banshee was following another spy, turned out not to be an ex-spy, turned out to be a robot wearing a mask. These things happen. So we start off at the meeting. Husk and Skin have lost track of Morph. They depart the meeting, didn't learn too much. They are met up by Gateway, who seems both upset and kind of underdressed, as usual. Mostly upset. We don't see what happens there. We'll come back to them at the end of the issue. But once again, nice to see Gateway, if this really is Gateway.
There's a weird little art issue in that scene. He's kind of hanging out in the alley, right? And he's next to some garbage, which that part's weird itself. But there's like a pizza box dropping. Sure. So where'd that pizza come from? Because, I mean, I guess I'll go spoiler. It seems like this was Changeling. Or not Changeling. What's the evil one?
Well, Changeling is the bad one. Morph is maybe the good one.
Okay, there we go. Then Changeling. Again, yeah, so this seems to be Changeling. But then where did Changeling get the pizza box from? Was he eating like trash pizza?
I think it's just part of the garbage that's there. I think it's just piled up.
But it's at an angle that looks like it's falling. It looks like he's sort of like surprised and he dropped the pizza box.
I can see how you'd read it like that in context. For me, I just thought it was like even on before he got there, whoever he is, I thought it's just there's a pizza box kind of stacked precariously on the rest of the garbage.
My headcanon is going to say that Gateway was eating trash pizza and he was like ashamed by it and he dropped it. That's when they saw him. And that's why they're saying Gateway? Mm-hmm.
It's like when you're surprised by your wife in the middle of the night and you're eating over the sink. Yes. I would never eat old Chinese food that's probably should be thrown out at 1 a.m. Certainly never happened to me. So something's going on there. And actually, I'll just tell you now, at the end of this chapter, we see these two, Husk and Skin, and they're in what seems to be the same alley, but they're kind of knocked out on their backs. So something happens to them. We're made to think early on that, Gateway knows something. He's going to tell these two they're going to go help out Banshee. That's what we're primed to think is going to happen, not what happens. So now we cut to Banshee and the robot who are in the middle of a fight. Banshee says the robot is an LMD. Now, Ruben, we probably should have guessed that last time, right? Marvel Comics, we got a robot that looks like a person. LMD is probably what we should have gone with.
Yeah, I don't feel bad, though, because I'm looking at pictures of LMDs, and they're not consistent, right? There's no, this is clearly the LMD, look.
Do LMDs have, interchangeable mask faces? I thought that you'd build an LMD specifically for whatever the target person is.
Yeah, they seem to be drawn completely different every single time.
Okay.
So it's just whatever the artist feels like drawing.
This one, at least Banshee calls an LMD.
Yep.
And the fight's interrupted by a bald guy who comes in with a gun. The LMD calls this guy Agent Bob. Are we supposed to know who Agent Bob is? Because it's kind of called out in capital letters in bold. Are we supposed to know this?
I don't know who Agent Bob is.
Because I Googled it, and I was reminded, I did know this. There was a Deadpool character who was Bob, Agent of Hydra, but I didn't look like this guy, so I don't know who else an Agent Bob might be. So the LMD grabs Banshee's head, points Banshee's head at Agent Bob, and does he push a button on Banshee's forehead or something? How does he force Banshee to do the scream thing?
I know, when I saw that, it really bugged me. I was like, just shut up, Banshee. It's not that hard to not use your scream and just wreck this guy, right?
Yeah, it looks like, I don't know, is it like a Vulcan thing where he can just push in just the right spots to control him? It's very odd. There's no
makes no sense.
attempt to explain how he forces Banshee to do this, but it's what happens. And this is a really cool panel art-wise, though, because we see, at least on the way my tablet's set up, we just see the LMD squeezing Banshee's head, and we see the sonic rings come out, and then as you scroll down, you go down a little bit, and then you see the impact where he just messes up this Agent Bob guy. And hey, Agent Bob was also a robot, presumably also an LMD. So whoever maybe Agent Bob was supposed to be.
It hurts really bad when your head's getting crushed, and so you scream, and then that happens to trigger the mutant power.
I guess, but every time Banshee stubs his toe in the middle of the night, does he just destroy a wall? I haven't seen that happen before, right?
Yeah.
I would think that he does this only when he chooses to.
Yeah. Oh, well.
That'll be a good sketch, though. Just to try to get up again in the middle of the night. He's trying to get to that old Chinese food in the refrigerator, and the coffee table was moved a couple inches, and he bops his little toe.
Yeah, he just hates Agent Bob.
I mean, Agent Bob, you'd think, is trying to save him, whoever this is. So the original LMD, because Agent Bob is either dead, out of commission, or whatever, whoever he was supposed to be, doesn't matter anymore. The original robot puts on a new face, starts to monologue. Your basic, he wants to kill all humans. He was looking for the Agent Bob robot. This LMD is about to rip Banshee's face off. Can he rip a face off and then use it as a disguise, like Leatherface? Is that how it works?
Yeah.
This whole scene is so confusing to me.
Yeah, there might be a little bit of blood. I don't think it'd be the most convincing secret face, but
maybe the idea is this LMD is just on cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and he thinks it'll work, but it won't.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, of course, there's the other callback to what happened with
Moira.
Yeah. So I was kind of like, poor Banshee. Is this like a new Banshee trope? Is people want to wear his damn skin?
Yeah. Okay, so Morph then comes in out of nowhere. Or somebody who appears to be Morph. So many shapeshifters in this damn thing. Who knows who anybody is? But looks like Morph comes in, rock'ems, sock'ems the LMD's head right off, which was funny. And then he makes some jokes. I did like the bit where Morph says he's not just an X-Man, he's all of the X-Mans. And he morphs himself into like a Cyclops visor and Wolverine claws and a Nightcrawler tail, all that stuff. So are the whole LMD robot subplot, are we done with that? Because this almost seemed like this was only set up to have some excuse for Morph to come in and save the day and have Banshee say, "Oh, Morph, I thought you were a bad un, but now I can tell you're a good un." And is that it? Or do we have some more LMD things to explain?
No, I think that's it.
That's it. So we're not going to get any more?
No, I think this is it. Now it's back to Changeling versus Morph.
So yeah, this is getting confusing. I want to know more about what was going on with those multiple LMDs. I guess we're getting back to the whole Morph, like you say, the Morph Changeling who was who situation, which is the core of it. But this felt like maybe, we had a chapter we needed to spin out, so we made up some robots. Yeah, I'm not as on board with this as I had been for the first couple chapters. I think this is starting to get way too confusing. How about you?
Yeah, it was fine, but it's what we usually say, right? Like, worth the price of admission, but not a particularly compelling story. It was more interesting at the start, like where you thought it was going to go somewhere interesting. It just kind of hasn't. So I'm sort of like, let's wrap this up and get to the next.
I enjoy him being this super energetic, popping in, cracking jokes, popping robots' heads off. I think he's fun. Mm-hmm. More of him and trying to figure out who he really is and what he's really up to. I think that would be what I want out of the story. But we'll see where it goes. Moving on to X-Men number 21, Legacy number 321, Upstarts 2. Upstarts 1 being number 4 of X-Men. That was the first time we saw the Upstarts. So it is written, of course, by Jed MacKay, pencils by Netho Diaz, inks by Sean Parsons with J.P. Mayer and Livesey, letters by Eisner Award winner, but not for this book, Clayton Coles. So as a reminder, these Upstarts are Trevor Fitzroy, who's one of the original Upstarts, and then he's got these 3 mooks from the Ecstatics book, used to call themselves O-Force: Ocelot, Orifice, and Orbit. Were you surprised, Ruben, that we don't see Cyclops at all in this book? Not like even a single panel?
No, I wasn't that surprised. I mean, I was hoping to see, what's going on with him in jail, but this is sort of, one of those classic, kind of happening somewhat contemporaneously issues. We get those a lot where it's like, here's what the other team was up to.
Yeah, well, they mentioned, I think it all happens after the last issue, but still the same day.
It's sort of slightly, it's just slightly after. I think he's like, maybe he's still asleep when this is happening in his jail cell. He had a long night or something.
Yeah, because as at the beginning, the sun's either rising or setting. I think it's sunset of the same day. That's what I think. And Cyclops wasn't a part of the fight against the Upstarts in issue 4 either, which is kind of interesting. Because he had set a team off. That's the issue where Beast had to be on the team because the psychics were all doing their psychic rescue of Ben Liu.
Mm-hmm.
So
and he was supervising
a different team fighting the Upstarts this time, which is kind of interesting. So we start off here at presumably sunset. Jen sulking on the roof of the factory because Beast isn't paying attention to her. And we learn that Jen had been in a bad place mentally even before the upstarts tried to murder her to death. She felt like nobody would miss her, which is why she so easily left her old life behind to join the X-Men, right? She didn't say, oh, I gotta talk to my family, gotta clean things up with my job. She just came right along. So that kind of makes sense. Now, Ruben, who is the character who comes in here to try to help Jen feel better about things? Who is the emotionally mature, caring, nurturing person who pops up here?
I was pretty proud of Kid Omega. He did a halfway decent job, and he seems self-aware enough to know that he's not the best at these kind of conversations, but he tries. It made me like him a little better.
Yeah, it was all right, Quentin Quire. Not in his wheelhouse. He does his best. I did laugh when he mentioned that he once started a whole riot to try to get a girl's attention.
Yes, that was a nice callback.
Oversimplification. He's referring to a plot line from really his first appearance. His first real story was in Grant Morrison's New X-Men, issues 134 to 136. And do you remember who he was trying to impress then?
It's one of the Cuckoos, but I don't remember which one.
It was Sophie at that point, okay. Sophie Cuckoo. And again, he's oversimplifying, but he's trying to make Jen feel better, so I'm not holding that against him.
I gotta say, I'm really liking his new outfit design. The more I look at it, so much better than what we had in X-Force with the sort of psychic glasses. That was kind of goofball.
Is the checkerboard pattern new?
Yeah, I like the checkered shirt and checkered socks. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Which was it? DC that went through an era where it had a checkerboard pattern at the top of its comics?
I don't know about
DC.
that.
I think it was Silver Age DC. That's what it reminds me of.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it looks pretty good. Now, while they're up there watching the sunset and talking about feelings, Magic portals in to say, hey, enough with the emotional character interaction scene. We've located the upstarts. Let's go kick their punk asses. And Jen and Quentin are all about that, so it's go time. So we peek in on Upstart headquarters, which I have no idea where this is located. Any idea? Where? Anywhere in the whole world this could be, right? It says it's called Sugarland because it's where the Sugar Man hangs out, but
yeah,
it's underground, I think. So it could be anywhere. I would like a little more specificity about where this whole thing is. It could be anywhere because Fitzroy's a teleporter. Magic's going to teleport the X-Men team in, so it could be literally anywhere. So Trevor Fitzroy, the team leader, he doesn't know what kind of a day he's in for. His team is sponsored by the Age of Apocalypse escapee known as Sugar Man. And Sugar Man, his one interest is he wants to know more about how these adult onset mutants are being created. So he wants to get his creepy little hands on one. Specifically, he's been after Jen Starkey. He's been providing the upstarts with psionic shielding, which has been what's prevented the X-Men from tracking them down. But now Sugar Man has turned that shielding off, which is why it must have just popped up on Magic's radar. And he does this because he figures out the mutant he wants has more than likely just joined the X-Men team. He says they always do, which, okay, good point to Sugar Man. That's how it works. And he predicts that if the X-Men come and attack this base, they'll probably bring Jen with them. So all upside. If the upstarts win, he gets his target mutant. If the upstarts lose, well, he's about ready to be done with them in any case. Makes sense. So he drops the shielding and he portals out of there, leaving Fitzroy and team to deal with repercussions. Those repercussions are the X-Men portaling in for a 12-page fight scene. Pretty good fight scene. Were you overall happy with this fight scene, or did you think it was too much?
I liked it. I enjoyed it. And I thought that the team, I don't know, even the splash page where the Magic and crews show up, it looks pretty cool. I wouldn't mind that as a poster.
Yeah. So, the team here is it's Magic and Quentin and Jen and Juggernaut.
And we have some, I'd say the O-Force members of the Upstarts have some kind of wacky powers. So I enjoyed seeing, them used against this X-Men team and them not necessarily, being as badass as possible. But we also get to see, Juggernaut being protective of the team members. It just really feels like this team is becoming way more coherent than it was initially, which I like. Mm-hmm.
We definitely get character moments coming into and changing and spinning out of this fight scene. So it's not just a fight scene for a fight scene. It is having character repercussions going forward.
I understand what happens with Jen, too, where she thinks she's up for the fight, but then she's not initially when she sees the people. Kind of freaks her out for a second, and then she gets into it. But I was just kind of like, when she wasn't helping the team out, I was like, good God, Jen. They thought they were going to do 4 on 4.
For a while to figure out where she was. She kind of just fades into the background there. And Fitzroy says, don't even worry about her. She's just the prize. Let's beat up the real X-Men first, words to that effect, and then we'll get her later. She's just not even to be worried about. But yeah, characters do some cool stuff. So we got Orbit, who is the juggling guy. He kind of does a Count Vertigo deal, makes Quentin puke. I did like the bit Fitzroy and Orifice form what Fitzroy calls a mutant circuit. Haven't seen that term in a while. Combining Orifice's barf beams, which is literally what Fitzroy calls them. Combine the barf beams with some portals and make some barf beam cages around magic. The Soul Sword, of course, can deflect all that, so it doesn't really work out, but it looks cool.
Yeah, it certainly looks cool, but I was thinking, okay, if you could do this, why don't you just somehow drop this stuff on her instead of just around her? But it's all good.
Yeah. Well, because she's a main character, and that's how it works. Yeah. Really, he should be able to just have all the beams go right through her in a way she can't even dodge out of the way from, so.
Yeah. Well, she has the same kind of power as him, right? In a way, with portals, so I kind of was expecting her to open her own portals. Mm-hmm. And I guess, yeah, I guess she doesn't.
Just multiple portals, just these barf beams shooting out of this portal into that portal. It's, trying to play that game.
Plus, she's got magic. I was like, okay, when you can actually cast a spell or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's very OP character.
Dark Child, right? Because she's all Dark Childy now, too.
Yeah, but anyways, it was all
anyway,
good.
that was that part of that. It was all right. We've got Ocelot, who is the Wookiee-looking guy, super violent, really enjoys being violent. He wounds Quentin pretty badly in the back, but mostly he's kind of here fighting Juggernaut, taunting Juggernaut about how, oh, hey, Jug, you used to be so tough. You were a bad guy, but now you've got all soft. And Ruben, based on what you see by the end of the fight, has Juggernaut gone soft?
I think that calling him soft was a bad... not a good strategy, because it looks like
Marty
Ocelot's...
McFly chicken. Yeah, I don't do it.
Yeah. It looks like his head gets twisted straight off.
It
just
does.
to prove that he's not soft. And there's an awful lot of blood
it's
on him.
A weird, dark character turn here, because it does seem like Juggernaut just out and out murders Ocelot to death just to prove a point. Cool panel, the way it looks like the blood is dripping from one panel down into the next. I thought that is just art-wise an awesome, gruesome touch. Clearly foreshadowing something going on with Juggernaut, maybe foreshadowing what happens to him in Age of Revelation, but something weird is going on here. And we really haven't had anything pointing towards us before, have we? Feels like it comes out of nowhere as far as his character goes, unless I've missed something.
Yeah. I'm also kind of curious, like, what's Magic's reaction going to be to this? Not that she's like a goody-goody, right? Like, she's certainly killed villains before.
Right.
And these are people that were hunting other mutants, so I could see them understanding it, but it didn't seem like... We don't see her
full reaction. She seems kind of horrified, like, what are you even doing?
Yeah.
But then we cut away from the scene before we get her full reaction. Jen does get the biggest moment, right? She'd been hiding in the background, and then she kind of gets taunted by Fitzroy, and then she transforms from a bird-type person to a lizard-type person, claws and teeth and long, creepy tongue, tail. And so she kind of wins the day, knocks both Orifice and Fitzroy on their respective asses. And Fitzroy makes a little speech to her about, probably feels pretty good to be the strong one beating up on weaker folks. Kind of reminiscent of the speech that Wire gave to Beast. Like, are they saying that, you're also going to come over to the bad guy side, just like Beast is going to?
Yeah.
Something going on there.
I would have been perfectly happy to see Fitzroy finally killed. Like, he's been around for way too long, and he was a murderer in the future anyways. And he's been a murderer since he's been an upstart. It seems like somebody should take him out. But
I guess if he's like a C- list character and Ocelot is a real full-on D-list character, maybe that's why Ocelot is disposable, D for disposable. Maybe somebody want to use Fitzroy again in the future.
Yeah. I mean, he has history with Bishop, right? So I guess that's why you keep him around.
We don't find out what they're going to do with the surviving upstarts. I guess I'm starting to wonder about this more ever since we had that diner scene in Uncanny where, we'll just send him to the Savage Land for a while. Maybe that's the new, Superman just throws people into the sun. X-Men just send everybody to the Savage Land.
Yeah, Fitzroy's a teleporter. You can't just send him somewhere.
That's a darn good point, Ruben. Can you put him in a Mysterium cube? Is that block teleportation? Do we even have Mysterium anymore?
I don't know. We do, I think, but not a lot of it. I think what you do is you take him to... what the hell's that place called? The prison.
Oh, the one where we have Warden / podcaster Corinna Ellis at the mansion, the ex-prison, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Grey Malkin.
I can never remember. Grey Malkin. Thank you. Yeah, I think you get him over to Grey Malkin, and then you can give me another scene with the Destiny replacement, the guy that's seeing the future, right?
Right. Yeah, that'd be a good place for him. Again, you'd have to figure out, are they going to work together with Corinna Ellis? Their enemies, but also she's the only one who can control these actual dangerous mutants. That could be fun. I don't think they're going to do that, but I like the idea. So the upstarts are defeated. And is Sugarman going to come in to help out? Of course not. Sugarman does not care about these upstarts. He'd hoped they'd get Jen for him, but they failed, so whatever. And where has Sugarman run off to here at the very, very end of this issue?
That's just a surprise to me. He went to Araco, and
even more specific.
Yeah, he went to Tarn the Uncaring. Is that his name?
Yes.
His old base.
The Spire Vial.
The Locust. Yeah, the Spire Vial headquarters at Locust Vial.
So
seems like the lights are still on, which surprised me.
Tarn is dead. He was killed by Magneto in X-Men Red and the battle to see who could get on the Great Ring. As far as I knew, the Locust Vial were still hanging out there because that was on the map. The big war that ended X-Men Red. Remember, we had all those cool maps.
Yeah.
And the Locust Vial was like, hey, no, just nobody goes there. They're not really on either side. We just kind of avoid that place.
Yeah, it's a lot of twisted people.
Right. So curious what's going on here. I know Araco's briefly appeared in that Power Man book. Do we know anything else about what is even happening on Araco? Because we've been waiting to see Araco. And this was a very, very big surprise to me to see it pop up with Sugarman going to say, hey, I'm going to go and take over Tarn's place.
Yeah, and interestingly, we still don't see anyone alive, which I told you in that Power Man story, like the Inhuman, like pretty much slaughtered. But it seemed to be like another one of those, like he shows up and kills everyone kind of situation, including Apocalypse, which we both said like can't actually be the death of Apocalypse. It's such a like
narratively unlikely.
Yeah.
But in this final image is a very cool splash page of the Spire Vial. We see like in the corner some skulls and the arm of what appears to be a dead person. And, that could be for any reason because this is the Spire Vial. There's going to be corpses around. But very curious to see what happens next.
Wasn't there like that baby thing that like if we could like destroy the whole universe or something like that?
Yeah, there's very wacky, cosmic horror type characters on the Locust Vial. Don't feed the baby.
I'm curious, like which ones are still around. It'll be
was the baby the one you couldn't feed? There was one who wasn't allowed to feed.
Yeah, I think it was. Like if we fed it, it would like eat the whole universe or something, or all of reality.
So,
anyways,
super curious to see what goes on there. So let's score this thing. Not a groundbreaking issue. Sugarman and Araco is the biggest deal. Having Juggernaut kind of go super violent is a big deal. Having Jen feel more at home on the team it's very much the expected thing to happen. It's done pretty well, but, we've seen this arc before. New character shows up, feels kind of out of place, shows up big in a fight, now feels like a real X-Man. That was fine.
Yeah.
Being
a bit of a leader when he's usually kind of the jokester, he's got somebody he's kind of mentoring a little bit.
Yeah, that was all right. The character stuff was okay. There's nothing too huge. If you skip this issue by accident, I don't think you're going to feel like you're lost next issue. I don't think you've missed a whole lot. Maybe if I had more of a connection to Sugarman, that part would feel bigger to me, but that's just an era of the X-Men.
I like that the X-Men got rid of the upstarts because you don't want them hanging around for no reason.
It felt like just kind of cleaning up some loose ends. You know, it was fine, just nothing big. The art elevates us for sure. Netho Diaz, we've been complimenting him a lot. He's allegedly kind of the fill-in artist here when Ryan Stegman's not doing it, but boy,
it's not a fill-in artist. Every time I see it, I'm like, this is badass. Yeah. All these images, very good at like fluid motions.
Mm-hmm. And I'm still on this last page with the Spire Vial and Sugarman in the foreground, and that looks totally badass too. So good stuff. That panel with Juggernaut and the blood dripping from one panel to the next, very creative, great stuff. So it's a cool fight scene, some kind of bonus character moments, some bonus really good art. So I can't go quite as high as an 8. I'm going 7.8 for this. It's just kind of still a little bit treading water, not enough content for me to bump it all the way to the 8. How about you?
Yeah, that's probably right. But throw in Araco, I'm going to give it an 8.
Fair enough. You're a bigger Araco.
Out of my love. And I'm always, it tickles my fancy anytime we find out that they're not like completely gone from like Marvel lore.
Right. I always wonder, writer remembers they exist.
Yeah. The further and further we get from Krakoa era, I just always kind of laugh like, this is like the wider Marvel universe remember that there's a bunch of mutants living on Mars and they've like renamed the planet, but at least in this corner we still get it, which I will appreciate.
And I'm going to guess we won't be coming back to Sugarman and Araco for probably a real long time.
Yeah.
Right? It was how many issues from issue 4 to issue 21? So 17 issues since we saw the upstarts and Sugar Man. Could be another 17 issues because we have all of Age of Revelation, however long that's going to be. This could be a fun little, way back burner for Jed McKay to pop up with in the future. And that's all right.
Yeah, it's all right. And we get Sugar Man out of the way at least for a little while we go through Age of Revelation, which is probably a good thing.
Of course, with that prediction, that probably means Sugar Man's going to be all over next issue, but I don't think so. I think next issue of X-Men, which is really what leads into Age of Revelation, we're told that's a super, super big issue with a crazy thing supposed to happen at the end of that issue. Probably not Sugar Man related, but what the hell do I know? Before we move on from this book, Ruben, did you happen to read the letter page? I usually kind of just skim through it because it's always just, people say, oh, I love the book, and the writers say, hey, thanks for loving the book. That's fine. But in this one, we have a guy named Riley Altop, who may or may not be a real person. I don't know how these things work. But Riley says, hey, how about a Cyclops solo series? And Tom Brevoort, who is responding here, he says, hey, anyway, you might get your wish for a solo Cyclops project in the coming year, which is
I'd read that.
A little more specific than just, general editorial, hey, you never know. It seems, that seems like it's talking about something for real, don't you think?
Yep, that's cool.
What do you think a solo Cyclops book would be? Because he seems awful busy being the team leader of X-Men. Does he leave the team?
Yeah, he does that from time to time.
It could be he leaves the team. I don't think it's going to be like a magic thing where, this just happens on his off days. I don't think that can work with Cyclops.
No, not with Cyclops. He's
he either
too busy.
leaves the team, or it's going to be some timey-wimey shenanigan where, we know in Age of Revelation, he's talking about going back in time to talk to his younger self.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's some other version of Cyclops doing this.
Yeah, that could be.
Who knows? But I'm
just as long as it's not like
there.
additional stories, that would kind of bug me if it was one of those set in the
right. Give Chris Claremont another 6-issue miniseries to talk about.
I don't need a Claremont Cyclops story.
Here's what happened between issues, this and that, way back in the 1990s.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I'm hoping it's a current day thing. I'm curious to see what happens to him. Maybe we'll go back to the whole, he was having a panic attack type situation at one point. Is going to talk about that. Is going to talk about his relationship with Jean. Lots of stuff it could be. Kind of curious.
That's the other thing I really don't want. I don't want it to be like him pining about Jean not being around.
Yeah, good point.
I don't need that. I need something else.
Well, we have no idea what it'll be, and it hasn't even officially been teased yet, but I'm taking this as, we're getting a Cyclops book sometime in the next 12 months.
He'd get back with Madeline Pryor. That would be great.
Well, speaking of Cyclops and his relationship issues, let's move on to Phoenix number 14, written by Stephanie Phillips, art by Roy Mercado, colors by Java Tartaglia, letters by Corey Pettit. And Ruben, this is the penultimate issue of Phoenix, at least as written by Stephanie Phillips, because she announced via TikTok that she is leaving the book. She stresses she wasn't kicked off, it's selling fine. She says she's told the story she wanted to tell, and also that she's been offered a, quote, dream project. And hey, I can't write everything. I'm not Jed McKay. She didn't say that, but it was implied.
The Cyclops solo series.
Oh, no.
Then my heart would break.
Oh, dear. She is doing that Planet She-Hulk book. I don't know if that's what she's describing as a dream project
series,
or if there's something else out there.
Yeah, probably. That's probably what it is, the She-Hulk thing.
And you never know when a writer says, I'm choosing to leave this book. You never know how much that is absolute truth, how much it's just kind of spin. Who knows? I mean, so this run of Phoenix is going to be just 15 issues, 2 arcs.
I will say this. I want to say this about this. She's telling a story where she just gets it so big, right? Like after this issue and the next issue and who she ends up fighting, and I'm not going to spoil that. It's sort of like, what would she write after this?
Where
it just
do you
seems,
go?
Yeah, she can't go any bigger than what she's doing here. So I think she has told the story that she's able to tell. I'm worried that like the next writer is kind of screwed because they're stuck with this task of, what do you do with Phoenix after this? But
yeah, kind of a lot like what's going on with Storm, right?
Yeah.
Where you make them so super powerful.
How do you make it bigger? How do you make it bigger? You have Jean fight Storm.
A very small number of very, very into those characters people on the internet would lose their flippin' minds. Because there are some stands of those characters who are just not that stable. So it's been no secret, Ruben, that I haven't been so crazy about this book. I don't think you have either. We only one more issue after this one. Might as well finish the thing off. So where we are now is Jean Grey at the end of that endless Adani arc. She accidentally created this new version of her dead sister, Sarah. Cable pops in to say, hey, Sarah's existence is going to ruin the whole universe. We don't know how. He does no specificity about why this is. We're just supposed to kind of believe him. He's taken us forward to one part of the universe in a couple of years, and it's like really slummy. So that's the only proof we get. So he wants to kill Sarah, or wants Jean to kill Sarah. And Sarah's all, oh, what am I? And Jean is all, oh, what do I do? And Ruben, who shows up to just make this even more histrionic than it had been?
Yeah, so we get the in-betweener. And
The freaking in-betweener, yes.
he says some good stuff, like when she asks, I'm not real, and then he says, you are and you are not. It's like, great.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, very this kind of pseudo-profound live, laugh, love, cosmic speech he kind of makes. Says, Sarah, oh, you're the shadow to the Phoenix's flame. One thing that Sarah says back to the in-betweener caught my attention. She says, you may be the in-betweener, happy with binaries, but I need answers. The word binaries, why do you think that caught my eye?
I don't know. Tell me.
What series is Stephanie Phillips writing in the Age of Revelation timeline?
Oh, is there
Binaries?
Yeah, okay.
She's writing a book called Binary. So maybe this is a hint at what that book's going to be. Here's my wacky theory. The binary in Age of Revelation is both Grey sisters, right? Jean Grey, Sarah Grey, somehow they're merged together into Binary. That's why she's called Binary, and that's who the book is about. That's my theory.
Skip.
Well, we're going to read at least the first one.
I mean, I have to read it,
right?
yeah, but that does not get me.
You're
like,
not adding it to your pull list.
Yeah, if I was putting out like hard cash on that, not.
But what do you think of my theory? Because the word binary is right there in this book. It's got to be there for a reason.
It makes sense, yeah.
Okay, back to this book. We get a flashback to Jean's childhood about her and her sister and some neighborhood kids messing around with a Ouija board.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why this scene is here other than to fill up like 5 pages. What are we supposed to take from this scene that informs us about what's going on in this book? Anything? Do you get it?
I'm just confused about what happens here, because it seems like Jean's psychic powers like somehow tap into like the ghosts of some people that were killed in this house. This
is before, because we know exactly when Jean's powers manifested. It had to do with her friend with a frisbee and getting hit by a car. Mm-hmm. We've seen that scene a bunch of times. This is before that.
Yeah.
So either she's kind of like little itty bits of her Jean Grey power, or is an actual ghost communicating with her.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it doesn't seem to match up with anything going on in the current day story. So I don't know why it's here.
Yeah,
Fill some pages.
I don't know what her sister's doing either when she's like kind of telling her to shake out of it. And then she sort of like covers and says, oh, it was a prank. I mean, is she just trying to make her sister seem more normal, or was it really a prank? I mean, it wasn't a prank.
Clear. I think she's just covering for her sister, or even maybe she just doesn't want her friends to, think of, for her own status. Maybe she doesn't want her friends to think her sister's kind of a freak.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Because in this whole scene, Jean's very much the tag along kid sister.
Yeah.
So at the end of this issue, back in the current day, Jean's in the white hot room and she's fighting the in-betweener. And I don't even know what the in-betweener wants. Does he want to kill Sarah? Does he want to make use of her? Not very clear to me.
No. And Jean's whole thing is just like, I'm going to change the whole world so that my created sister can stay in the world.
Right. Of all the things I could have undone, I didn't undo, but I'm going to choose to undo my sister's death. So the in-betweener, he calls in all of his homies. He calls in the Living Tribunal, Oblivion, Infinity, Eternity, Lord Chaos, and Master Order. Those 2 dudes don't agree on anything, but they're both here. And in response, Jean calls on, quote, all the Phoenix hosts who have transcended the physical world, living or dead. And these are apparently Rachel Summers, last seen in X-Force, Quentin Quire, currently appearing in X-Men, Hope Summers, who I think did stay in the White Hot group at the end of Krakoa, so she's fine. And then we add on 2 I'd never heard of. We have Rook Shear, an ancient Shi'ar Phoenix host who became a Dark Phoenix, has appeared in exactly one previous issue 20 years ago. And finally, we've got Fong-Ji Wu, who about 400 years ago was both an Iron Fist and a Phoenix host. She appeared in a handful of Bendis New Avengers issues in 2012. So that's our final battle, is all the Phoenixes against all the abstract entities.
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of don't like this.
Where do we even go from there?
Yeah, I don't like this.
It's so big. It's so big. It's
a personal nit of mine is this idea of like Hope being here, because I really thought that we were told that Hope was the Phoenix, like not a host. It was like the Phoenix in the form of a human.
It's the Phoenix. I mean,
and now we're kind of like showing it back
Yeah.
as like, oh, she's a person that happened to be the host of the Phoenix.
I don't know if you know this, Ruben, but the Phoenix is kind of confusing. Sometimes Jean is the Phoenix. Sometimes the Phoenix is this entity out in the universe that kind of just symbiotically lives with Jean.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes Hope is the Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows what the hell it is. So this run's going to end next issue. Pseudo sister Sarah might be survive or be killed or maybe merge with Jean going into Age of Revelation. The art here is not awful. It's not great. It's not nearly as good as the first few issues when we had the other artist who was stealing things, but in a pretty way. The art is just kind of fine. So I'm just giving this a 4 out of 10. How about
Yeah, I also want to say, like, if you're gonna have all the Phoenixes, really, they're just these 5. Like, there's got to be more.
Well, was very specifically all the Phoenix hosts who have transcended the physical world, living or dead. I don't know what that means, but that seems to be how they're not, right? A lot of, like, there's the Phoenix 5. There's all these other characters. So you must have been a Phoenix
and at some point have died. Is that the requirement?
Sure.
Because is this the Quentin that we have? I'm assuming not. Like, he's not going to be... He was fighting the upstarts a second ago, and now he's wearing a Phoenix shirt and helping out
I
Jean.
Couldn't tell you, Ruben.
And same thing with Rachel. Like I didn't think she was dead. I don't recall her. Like, she certainly wasn't, right? Like, she was in X-Force just a few
She was in X-Force,
months ago.
Maybe she had died and was resurrected. I hadn't been following the Excalibur stories that she was in, so I don't know.
Yeah, I really think this is annoying and bad on editorial allowing this to happen, because when you show both like Eternity and Oblivion on the same team working together, and yet the whole sort of point of your other book, Storm, is that they're like mortal enemies and always fighting against each other, and there's supposed to be some ultimate fight that Storm is captured in. Mm-hmm. It sort of makes that other book seem not so important. It's like, oh yeah, whatever, they got over it. Their beef
and
is
also
fine.
It's two books kind of playing the same trick, right?
Yes.
Making their main characters seem bigger by putting them up against the very same cosmic entities.
And they're cosmic entities, so fine, right? Like, they can be in two places at once, but it is sort of redundant. And yeah, it's just not doing anything new. So big F from me. And in terms of like score, I mean, it's not good. So put it as low as you want. And that's kind of where I'm at. I guess you said 4, so I'll just join you there. But I was very unhappy with this.
Yeah, I don't care for it. I think we've said all we need to say about it. Let's just move on to our next book. And we are done with the X books for this week. We are moving on to the Cosmic World, which means I get to push this button again. We're going to talk about 2 of the tie-in one-shots to Hickman's Imperial series. So we've got the first 3 issues of Imperial, ended a really cool Inhumans cliffhanger, and now for a month we're getting 4 one-shots that are happening during the same time period and also kind of pointing towards these books that are spinning out of it after the event's done. We have 2 of them this week because one of them was supposed to be last week and got delayed, and that one is... Did I push this button already? I'm going to push it again. That is Imperial War Black Panther, written by Victor Laval and Jonathan Hickman, mostly Victor Laval, art by Kefu, who is Carlos Alberto Fernandez Urbano, colors by David Curiel, letters by Ariana Mayer. So this is a very serious kind of a book. It kind of matches the tone of Imperial. It kind of feels very much like not a one-shot, but a prelude to something coming forward. We've got several bits to this story. We have a framing story about a man and his son, 2 people who are probably more than they seem to be. We have an extension of an action scene from Imperial number 2, when Black Panther was fighting / fleeing from the Hulks. And we have a diplomatic story about T'Challa and some of the forces who have been attacking Wakanda. And those all kind of coexist, not so much in harmony. So let's do the action scene first. Imperial number 2, T'Challa ran into Hulk and Teen Hulk on board a Rigelian starship. This was after the secret Wakandan weapon knocked out most of the attacking fleet, kind of ruined their power, but before, lots of folks on every ship were revealed to be secret Skrulls. This issue picks up directly from that scene, with T'Challa mostly running away from Hulk so he doesn't get squished. T'Challa learns that Hulk blames him for the death of his son, and then T'Challa escapes in another ship. As an action scene, it was fine. Not a whole lot to talk about. It kind of feels like we've already seen most of this scene. All we needed to know was, oh, he knows why Hulk is mad, and then he bugs out in his ship. Anything else to add about that little bit?
No, just kind of, it would be annoying working with the Hulk. That's all I took from this. Because you've got,
not
Braun.
Much of a team player, yeah.
No, you got Braun like trying to explain it to him, say like, calm the F down, like, this is your buddy, the Black Panther, like, he probably is not a murderer of your son.
Mm-hmm.
And Hulk is going crazy, smashing everything as Hulk does.
There is a bit where T'Challa reflects on how, hey, all of these races were very quick to believe that Wakanda was responsible for all those assassinations. No one even reached out through back channels to kind of check in on things.
Yeah.
Which is, that was a good thing to say.
It was, yeah. I thought that was like really good. And of course, people are always dogging on Wakanda for being sort of isolationists, but you gotta say they have like a long history of people not trusting them or believing them or giving them like decorum. And so I kind of get the way they are. It's like
kind of, but T'Challa, because we get his thoughts in the narration boxes here. He says, of all these, not one of these empires reached out through back channels trying to verify. They were quick to believe the worst. This says more about them than us. And does it, T'Challa? If one planet did that, okay, that's them. But if every other planet in the whole sector of the galaxy was like, oh yeah, they could definitely do this.
Yeah.
I think maybe you need to be a little more self-reflective there, Black Panther. Maybe it's partially you.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Everybody else thinks it. Maybe it's you. Okay, on to the diplomatic bit. T'Challa contacts the various attacking forces, the Shi'ar, the Kree, the Horse People, all of them. T'Challa says to them, A, we Wakandans didn't do the stuff you think we did. And 2, your ships are all broken now. How about we stop fighting? His actual words are, I now offer a conditional ceasefire. That condition is your surrender. Is that what ceasefire means? If you weren't, and we're not going to compare T'Challa to any particular real-world leader right now, but that sounds like one particular real-world leader right now, and not who you want your hero to be compared to.
Yeah, that's kind of
all
funny.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
you have to give up your land.
Yeah, okay, we've gone up to the line, Ruben. Right on the line, no further. So some of the other forces kind of agree to the ceasefire. Maybe they don't go along with the whole surrender thing, but they want to at least talk to T'Challa. The Kree don't, or at least one Kree ship doesn't. It's unclear because there's a Kree guy who's part of the conference with T'Challa, and then there's another Kree ship who is not part of it. So, notably, Shi'ar leader Gladiator takes T'Challa up on his offer. T'Challa's still pretty pissed off about the whole taking his sister captive thing, but he's going to deal with that another time. T'Challa's shown some Skrull prisoners. These are the prisoners still talking about Veranke. And it seems like we're realigning from everybody versus Wakanda to now everybody versus the Skrulls.
Yeah, the way it should
doesn't do much for this issue, but kind of
those damn dirty Skrulls.
That is kind of how the Marvel, if we're turning to like status quo of the Marvel universe, the Skrulls are going to be the bad guys most of the time. So I think, again, that's probably pointing towards something that's going to happen in maybe this Black Panther book going forward. Meanwhile, while this chat is happening, Ronan the Accuser orders 3 Kree ships to attack a command center on planet Wakanda. He's not on board with the ceasefire. In the ensuing battle, the command center is badly damaged, and all 3 of those Kree ships are destroyed. Okay, that's the diplomacy thing. Finally, we've got this mysterious father-son duo, only in 2 scenes, one way at the beginning, one way at the end. Younger guy calls the elder father, and in the early scene, the younger says, the command center is interfering with our transmission. We can't get away. Later, he says to the father, are you worried they'll find out who we are? And those are the only clues we get about these people not being just regular old Wakandan citizens. They got some kind of a secret. Any wacky theories who these people might be?
Yeah, my theory on this is that the son is like until now unknown child of Njidaka, the Imperial or Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda leader that was like the main adversary.
What empire? Oh, that one. Right. So internal Black Panther Wakanda stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So there, in the original story, when T'Challa went to the intergalactic Wakanda area, there was like this Lord Njidaka who was like, the evil emperor of that place.
This is in the Ta-Nehisi Coates bit?
Yeah, exactly. And it's this whole like crazy thing about how he gets a symbiote suit and then like eventually transfers his mind into the body of like a resurrected Killmonger.
Mm-hmm.
But in any event, he had like a daughter, and that was like a big thing where Njidaka was like trying to save the daughter from the good Wakandans who had like seemingly captured her, but actually she was like possessed by whatever the hell that Panther goddess is. I can't remember her name.
Bast?
Bast, there we go.
Yep.
Yeah, so Bast inhabited the body of Njidaka's daughter, but there's no reason for me to think that like there wasn't also a son. So I think this is like, the remnants of the overthrown intergalactic Wakandan rulers coming back.
I was wondering if they might be Skrulls. Now, currently I'm thinking everybody's a Skrull, but the father dies towards the end. And when Skrulls die, do they revert to their Skrull form?
Yep, that's how you find out they're Skrulls.
I guess we gotta rule that out.
Well, do we see the body? We don't. I guess we see a body on top of.
Yeah, he's right there. So
yeah, I just think the idea is like, it seems like T'Challa says like, hey, take this kid into like our family and let's like take care of him.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a sense that like he's going to be like a usurper of T'Challa's rule within intergalactic Wakanda.
Because just what happens to these two people is they go into the command center thinking they'll be safer there. Turns out to be a bad choice. When those Kree ships attack, there's all this bombing, and the dad dies protecting his son, and that's when T'Challa kind of finds them, and like as you say, the kids being brought into like the royal family, more or less. So as the issue ends, we've got kind of a new status quo. We've got appears that no one's.
I want to read one more line too. So then the kid says, "Father, he doesn't realize the consequences of your death, but he will." That seems pretty ominous, right? Like the kid, even though the kid is being brought into T'Challa's family as like an orphan, he seems to bear resentment against.
Right. He seems to consider himself still like a spy or an agent of somebody else. So at the end of the book, no one's still attacking Space Wakanda. Seems that at least we don't know what's going to happen with Ronan the Accuser, but everybody else is like, okay, let's put this on pause. T'Challa, royally pissed off at Ronan the Accuser. T'Challa also mad about his sister. His sister's off, as we know, no longer a prisoner, kind of on a team with Nova and Star-Lord, so he doesn't know about that yet. The Space Wakanda Stargate is nearly repaired, so that's going to be working again. And yeah, something up with that father-son duo. Not an awful book. I think it would be better as like issue 1 of a new series. When I see this as a one-shot, I'm kind of thinking, it'll be more of a self-contained tale. Not that at all.
Yeah,
it almost feels like those backups we were getting in the Kamala Khan giant-sized things that were just ads for the future.
Yeah, I think this is just telling you, like, hey, next Black Panther run is going to be another intergalactic Wakanda story.
Mm-hmm. If it's about setting that up, I would have liked a little more character out of T'Challa. We never even see him without his mask on, and he's just kind of, even though we get the narration from him,
well, you see him in the very last panel. He doesn't have his mask on.
Well, that's true. The very, very last panel, he's got his mask on. And he's talking about being a good leader, which is always Black Panther's thing. How am I going to be a leader? Should I be the king? Should I be on the side? Should it be a democracy? Should I be in space? So that's where we're going. And I think I'm going to end this as a 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah, that's fair. I was just going to go a 6. And I'm more interested in this than probably most people. I actually thought that the intergalactic Wakanda storyline was an interesting expansion of like the Wakanda story. I think you could do more stuff there than you could do on Earth.
Yeah, it's almost like the Inhumans, right? If you put them in space, you make room for them to do their things without always retelling the same Earthbound stories they're always in. So
yeah,
we will see what happens.
It's cool in the sense that you just don't have to deal with they're a secretive nation that's like dealing with like racial prejudice on Earth. They don't have that in space,
opens
right?
things up.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to our final book of the week, which is Imperial War, Planet She-Hulk. Written by Stephanie Phillips and Jonathan Hickman. Art by Emilio Laiso. Colors by Matt Miller. Letters by Joe Caramagna. And this is a strange book. Folks, you definitely do not need to read this to keep up with the main Imperial storyline. You may want to read it as a preview for the Planet She-Hulk ongoing that's coming in November, although that is going to have a different artist. That artist will be Aaron Cooter, who's been the artist on Saladin Ahmed's Daredevil run. And this book is essentially a full-on comedy, although told in the form of a mystery. Although it's not really a mystery, you know right from the beginning who's guilty.
I kind of don't like the art in it. I'm going to say that to start.
Okay.
The art on the cover looks pretty cool, and then you turn the page and it's like a little, like the style is not well suited for the story they're telling in my mind.
The art on the cover, it's very much, well, what all the Imperial covers look like. And who is this artist here? I don't have the credits up right now, but yeah, it is. Oh no, covers by Francesco Martorino and Raul Angulo, who's doing all the covers, and is in that kind of very serious, we're telling a cosmic drama type look.
Yeah,
where inside it's
very detailed. I'll say this
for the comedy is trying to tell.
Yeah, you think so? I don't know. The style for me doesn't work. It's very detailed, so it's not like bad art. It's just, I don't know. I felt it was like a little too like 80s, like sword and sorcery style art.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I did like the first panel, which it looks at the first splash page. It looks like She-Hulk is breaking the fourth wall and talking directly to us, which is, of course, a She-Hulk thing before it became an exceptional X-Men thing. And then you turn the page and find, no, it's just a point of view shot. She is talking to a bunch of other people, and that's just where the camera happened to be. I thought that was kind of clever. So as folks may remember, in Imperial number 1, Jen was left behind on Hulk Planet to keep the peace, relative peace, on this Sakaar, right? While Bruce and Amadeus went off to investigate the murder of Hirokala, Bruce's son, who had been the ruler of the planet. Yeah, in Imperial, this was all very serious. I mean, it's Planet Hulk. It's over the top and goofy, violent, but definitely was presented a lot more seriously than in this straight up comedy. So she's talking to Hirokala's 5 widows, which we knew he had 5 widows. He was a busy guy, all political kind of marriages, and someone, probably one of these widows, murdered Hirokala's political advisor, a guy named Alastair Stone. And to spoil the ending, that someone is, well, it's all
everyone.
Of them. Right. Obvious, because we're told right from the start, the guy has 5 separate causes of death. He was stabbed, beaten, poisoned, strangled, and cursed by magic. And we've got 5 suspects, one of whom does magic, one of whom does poisons, etc. So really not a lot of suspense there. In between the setup and the ending, we got some wacky stuff going on. We got a scene stolen from every Dungeons and Dragons campaign ever, where Jen fights a group of enchanted suits of armor. That's like the main action piece of the issue. It's not for me. I've liked some John Byrne She-Hulk things I've dipped into. I think this approach might be better than what She-Hulk has been lately, which was like a romance book. What Rainbow Rowell was doing a thing where she was hooking up with Jack of Hearts. And as far as I can tell, at the end of that, she was still a couple with Jack of Hearts, and he doesn't get mentioned at all here. So it does seem like they want to just leave that behind. I thought the book looked fine. I thought, again, it is very 80s and sword and sorcery, but
I guess it just doesn't look like cosmic to me. It looks very much like fantasy.
Yeah.
And maybe that's
very
fine,
much leading into this as a fantasy world.
Yeah.
It really depends what you're looking for. Some people may be looking for a wacky, silly adventure with She-Hulk being all frustrated because she's bringing her Earth ways of thinking to this crazy fantasy planet. And if that's what you're looking for, here you go. For me, I wasn't so into it. The comedy didn't land for me. I'm calling it a 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Sound like you're probably a little bit lower.
Yeah, it's not a bad story, and I thought the comedy worked, but it was telling a story I just didn't have any interest in, so I don't know. 5.2.
5.2.
Don't care for it.
Yeah, it's not targeted towards me. It's apparently not targeted towards you, but I think some people are going to like it. I think it's not badly made. It's just I'm not its target audience. Well, that was the last book we had to talk about today, Ruben. And I do have some recommended reading. And I'm just going to say that Grant Morrison, new X-Men stuff about Quentin Quire, starting with his first appearance, new X-Men number 134. I think it's kind of fun to see where Quentin Quire started and see how he's kind of changed and in some ways not changed since then. And next week, Ruben is not my problem because I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be drinking in the northern woods of New Hampshire all weekend and recovering on Monday. So you've got something planned, I presume, right?
Yeah, we'll do 4 books. There's a lot of books that I care about next week, and one that I will do out of begrudging obligation.
Okay.
And then 2 that you told me were coming out, but there's no way in hell I'm going to read them. So
I sent you the list from my spreadsheet, and you can cover whatever you want to cover with whoever you're open to doing this.
We'll do Uncanny X-Men number 20, X-Men of Apocalypse Alpha number 1, and Imperial War Exiles number 1. Those are the ones I care about. And then because people care about Wolverine, I will do Wolverine 13. Unless I can convince Matt and Jim to take it over. But I suspect they will say, leave that for the X-Men podcast.
The only one of those I'm kind of sad to miss out on is the Exiles book, because that is going to be where we get Charles Xavier coming back into the story after fleeing Earth and the X-Manhunt storyline, and how what he was receiving was happening in space and what we saw happen at Imperial weren't quite the same. So I am very curious how those are going to be kind of tried to make to fit together. So I will be listening in, but yeah, I will not be here next week. It'll be Ruben. And you have a co-host lined up, or are we going to keep that secret?
TBD. It might just be me. I really hope it's not just me, but it's possible.
Good luck. And hey, I guess that means that's a call for co-host. So if you've been a burning desire to co-host on this, get after Ruben. Not me. I'm not involved. It's also an Ultimate X-Men book next week, so I'll probably be doing a thing with Jim at some point. But that's all I got to say. I got to go back to my baking. I got about 400 cookies to finish baking, and then I'll be good for the weekend. How about, other than baking and reading those books, Ruben, what can our loyal listeners do until they come back to hear about those books we just talked about?
Well, they can read the 60 issues of Age of Apocalypse or any other X-Men comics.
Get ready, everyone, and you just might survive. Ruben and Jason are here with their X-Men deep dive. Going through all the X-books is their mission, so get ready for the Learned Edition. Things are getting weird in here. Ruben hopes another sword book gets announced this year. It's the Weird Dose of X, the X-Men comic show. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed not to blow, except your mind. It's the Weird Dose of X, the X-Men comic show. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed not to blow, except your mind.
I like it, though. I listen to it every week.